right, welcome back to another episode of Are You Not Entertained podcast. Before we start, I just want to let everybody know me and Infamous decided to take a little vacation for a couple of weeks. We've been working really hard. We've been uploading a video every day for the past 6 months. So that's why there was no update or no new videos for a little while. We just thought we could take a vacation. I didn't think to make an announcement because I honestly didn't think nobody would be looking for us, but I was wrong. We got some comments and some concerned comments in our past videos asking about the channel, but like you see, we are well, we are here, we are still putting out content. We just needed a little break, a little vacation, spend time with our families and be adults outside of our normal gaming content making life for a little while. But we're back. We're kind of back. Well, sort of back. Listen, I'm doing the pod by myself today. It's Good Friday, the day of recording. My cousin has some family arrangements and stuff with his in-laws and stuff like that. So he unfortunately will not be on this recording. He'll be back next week. And I guess that's when, we'll be at full strength in the pod, And also one of our last videos that we uploaded did really, really well. It was the backwards compatibility video. And a lot of people wanted us to do a follow-up to that video talking about titles and stuff like that we want and hope, and I would definitely do that because it was well requested in the comments. Let me just say, I know, and I kind of didn't think too highly of bringing back backwards compatibility just because I'm like, it's very title dependent on me. And when I say y'all was listening out some fucking gems that I had totally forgot about. So, no, in our follow-up video, I will be well informed. I will go back, I will look, because, like, listen, y'all was saying some gems, and I was like, damn, yeah, that's a good one. Then somebody else would say, I'm like, that's a good one. And I was like, God damn, like, shit, I forgot that it was this much heat in some of them old Xbox 360 titles. So we'll do a follow-up video. We're recording next week when Infamous is back. But yeah, just let you know, current events and what's going on with the pod. But no further ado, let's get right into it because we've been gone for a minute and it's a lot of stuff that's been going on in gaming. But as of recently, Nintendo leak drama just exploded, and this might be one of the biggest leaks we've seen in a long time from Nintendo. We're talking about a possible full lineup getting exposed, including Ocarina of Time remake, a new Star Fox, and other unannounced games. And now reports are saying Nintendo is furious internally about what just happened because this isn't just a leak. This could completely mess up how they plan to reveal everything. So now the question is, did fans just get an early look at something huge? Or did this leak just ruin Nintendo's entire rollout plan? All right, so here's what's actually been reported and why this situation is blowing up right now. The leak suggests Nintendo had multiple major project lineups, and now all of it is getting talked about before they even had the chance to reveal it themselves. That's where things start to get messy because some fans are excited. You mean rightfully so. I mean, our Ocarina of Time remake? That's big news. But others are saying this completely kills the hype of a proper announcement. And if Nintendo really is furious about this, that tells you how serious this leak might be. So let's break it down. What was revealed, and the bigger question, are leaks starting to ruin gaming announcements? All right, so like I said, it was some massive Nintendo leaks, and like the intro said, Ocarina of Time remake, full remake, not just a HD remaster. So they really taking it to the foundation and rebuilding that game all the way from bottom to top. And Nintendo long history of being lazy with their nostalgia pulls. I am really surprised by that. Expect it as to be a major holiday title. So this could be coming at the end of the day. And this was the biggest part of the leak. New Starfield game, classic style gameplay with modern features, reportedly targeting summer release window. Could include online multiplayer. And some other unannounced first parties was expected or suggested that is Fire Emblem, rumored for a summer release as well. Splatoon Raiders, a spinoff or a new direction for Splatoon, also rumored for the summer. Rhythm Heaven Groove, and new Switch Sports or update, possibly new version or expansion. Still unclear a full sequel or just a release. Now, and it's really crazy too that I felt like Nintendo just had a showcase not too long ago, and it was really, really good. It showcased a lot of third-party support, in which Switch in the past, or the history of the Switch, really don't have good third-party support just because of the limitations of the console that is the Switch. And my cousin in the past Nintendo videos has said, "Yo, like, where is the first party stuff?" And a lot of people in the comments in our old Nintendo videos asked that. Where is the first party support? Because that's what, like, if you look at Switch launch, it had Zelda, it had a big first party support at launch. The Switch has been out for a little bit. Say it how you want to. People feel like it hasn't been enough first party support on this new Switch 2. And therefore, a lot of people didn't feel the value was there, spending the price and the cost of what the Switch 2 requires to get brand new. This leak, I could definitely see that why Nintendo would be so pissed off right now. So, and a lot of times in a lot of gaming, people leak stuff. It's on purpose. It's intentional. It's to drive interest and speculation, and really make it blow up. Nintendo really don't move like that. Like, they tell you when they tell you, and it could be very soon. And I will give Nintendo that when they announce something, it's pretty well, except Metroid Prime 4. But anyway, when they announce something, it's not a long way off. And they will sometimes sit on, titles. They set on Pokemon titles and stuff like that until they were ready to release it. So I can definitely understand how Nintendo is furious and pissed off by this. But, there's two sides to this. Fans, say, "Oh, we know what's coming. Ocarina Remake is a major nostalgia hit. Star Fox, shit, I'm sorry. Star Fox come back, long overdue." That's one side of the story. So they're happy to know that this isn't a pilot. But on the other side, some people say, "Yo, this really kills any, like, if Nintendo has a first party direct or showcase when they do this, like, you're gonna know everything 9 out of 10. I mean, 9 out of 10 what's going to be announced. So will people even pay it any mind?" Not saying that the game won't sell. At the end of the day, Ocarina Remake is going to sell. I believe that is going to be a system seller for the Switch 2. I'd be interested to see. Nah, do we think they will make it for the Switch 1 and Switch 2? I don't think so. I think if you're doing an Ocarina of Time remake, that needs to be a system. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. I just thought about that. But anyway, yeah, I can understand Nintendo being pissed off right now, and whoever leaked this, and it's not even that it's a leak, it's the fault, like the amount of leak. And they had to be, and then why they're so pissed off, they probably are like a couple of weeks away of saying, "Hey, we're doing a showcase," especially if a lot of these games are slated for the summer. Like, it's April, like, the summer is really upon us. So yeah, we might get an announcement for a showcase here from Nintendo real fast. But hey, listen, I'm not mad at none of the things that's leaked. Listen, I already said Nintendo they've been stacking the deck with third party, and now they're going to showcase first party titles. I think they really are stacking up the deck to give people value for the Switch 2, particularly the Switch 2. I mean, let's be honest, that's what they want to continue to sell. A lot of this will probably be targeted to the Switch 2, probably run better, look better if they do both generations. But let me know in the comments, would you rather things like this, major titles like this, like Ocarina of Time, be a surprise, or have it leaked to you early? I mean, at the end of the day, leaks don't affect sales of games, because it's going to sell what it's going to sell. But I mean, this could have been a real, like, Ocarina of Time remake announcement at the end of a showcase would have been a fucking mic drop moment. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, so it does take some wind out of the sales, but it's still gonna sell. Like, I think that's gonna make people buy a Switch 2. And honestly, I talked to Infamous on the phone last night about this, and he said he will buy a Switch 2 for a remake of Ocarina of Time. Now, I do not share that sentiment. If I'm gonna buy a Switch 2, it's gotta have an OLED screen. So, and there are rumors that the OLED version or revision of the Switch 2 is very near in the future. So I think I would just hold on until they put that OLED screen in the Switch 2. But hey, let us know what you think and how you feel in the comments down below. All right, Xbox just locked in June 7th for their next showcase. And now the pressure is on, because this isn't just another event. This might be one of the most important moments in Xbox history. They've been promising big things: exclusive Game Pass wins and strong stronger lineups, but now it's time to actually show it. And fans are already watching closely because if this showcase doesn't hit, it's going to raise some serious questions about where Xbox is really heading in the future. All right, so here's why June 7th showcase actually matters more than people think. Xbox has momentum in some areas, but there is still a lot that needs to be proven to fans that's been burnt in the past from Xbox choices. Fans want big exclusives. Fans want must-play games, and they want a reason to feel confident about the future of Xbox. So this showcase just isn't about announcements. It's about whether Xbox can finally deliver on expectations, or if the pressure just keeps building, what is going to happen to Xbox? Let's break it down what we could see and what's really at stake. All right, so like there's no everybody knows by now, they had the firing of Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. They brought in a new CEO. She's been saying a lot on Twitter. She's been hitting the buzzwords to really get the people going. Exclusive, making the hardware matter again and all this stuff and reevaluating. I think she had a tweet saying about reevaluating the price of Game Pass and all. She's saying everything that people has been complaining about with Xbox for years. So yeah, but will she make anything happen at the end of the day? That's where the issue is. Like, so Xbox, they've been selling like these half-witted dreams and this and this and that, but what people want are the games. They want a reason to have to cut on your Xbox. They don't want to play your Xbox game on a PlayStation. And the whole Halo coming over and stuff like that really pissed off a lot of core Xbox fans. But that we don't need to rehash that. We all know. But Xbox, like I said, has made big promises. First party pipeline, Game Pass dominance, studio acquisitions paying off. I don't know about that. But perception issues still exist. Where are the must-play exclusives? Fans want big AAA gameplay, release date that are coming soon, not 4 years in the future. A clear 2026 roadmap at this showcase. Fans don't want announcement. They want proof that Xbox is making real change. So, like I said, the pressure is really on for Xbox in this showcase. And I will say, they had the little showcase that only was 4 games, and most of those we already knew about. And I was just like, what was the point? Like, it really felt really, really, really flat. So I'm hoping, these are my hopes, that Xbox in this showcase is going to come with some fucking haymakers. Because like we said in the Nintendo, they got some haymakers in the pipeline. So, and then you look at PlayStation just had a little thing. They announced the God of War trilogy remake. So like everybody else is throwing haymakers in the ring, and Xbox is just kind of standing there in the corner like, so I'm really, look, I don't want to sound like I have a high emotional stake into Xbox, because I just think, I don't know, man, Xbox has really let me down a lot of times recently, and the moves, they don't align with the type of player I am. And I've said multiple times, I was an Xbox 360 fanatic. That's what really got me into gaming outside of Pokemon and Game Boys. But in a console like setting, Xbox 360 was that system that really ingrained me in to be a fucking gamer. Like I said, the competition, PlayStation and Nintendo already came out first, and they came out swinging big. And so listen, the stakes are just this: if this showcase hits, Xbox regain momentum, Game Pass value will probably skyrocket, and people will start talking real positive again. But if this showcase misses, I can see the YouTube videos trashing it. I can see, hey, Xbox has game, but nothing you have to play. You don't have to play anything on the Xbox. Listen, I just can see the turmoil now. This is me sending positive energy, positive vibes to all the Xbox fanatics, all the people that has held down Xbox through these trying times. Listen, baby, I hope this is your time with the showcase. I hope they gonna announce some good shit, some shit that piques my interest in and games that's not like 5-6 years. We don't need no Elder Scroll Tom Howard type announcement, something that's not going to be even thought of in 7 years. We need something that's coming out in the near future, and it needs to be a big deal. As you can see on the screen, Gears of War E-Day Direct immediately coming up following the showcase. Now, we listen, baby. I played a lot of Gears of War on my 360. Gears of War was the whole reason why so many people on my first Xbox account, I had so many friends because I met them while playing online horde and all that with Gears of War. So Gears of War got a special place in my heart. And the more recent Gears of War, the story, the tone, it was like, if it's not gonna be adding anything significant to the story that we already know, what was the point? It felt real cash grabby. Listen, Gears of War E-Day, they do have like a little snippet, a little cinematic trailer or whatever that little scene is that was out a while ago, actually. So I mean, it does look visually mwah, chef's kiss. Is one of Xbox's biggest legacy franchises. No, so and they're going with the prequel angle, so it's probably be more fresh, and it doesn't feel like why are we already know these people. We know their story. We've been rocking with them over multiple games. Like, maybe they'll have something more to offer you with a prequel angle. That's my hope. E-Day, Gears of War following up, like that's a big deal. And so I have high expectation. Well, okay, hold on, because I don't want to say emotionally invested and then I watch and not be disappointed. I just have a lot of hope. Like, a lot of hope they did right by the Gears of Wars, because Gears of Wars got a lot of fans. They got the oldies, and then they got the mid people that came later, and then they got the, I guess, this generation. So pleasing all those gamers across multiple decades of different times and playing, it's going to be very difficult. But like I said, I think the prequel angle will be a fresh start. They can actually just have a blank canvas and really just paint the picture in such a way and bring in new characters. And the possibility of endless, I don't really know. We'll have to wait till the showcase. But let me know if in your opinion, if Xbox doesn't deliver on this June 7th showcase, the showcase plus the Gears of War E-Day Direct, is that going to be a problem for Xbox going forward? And I'm gonna just tell you my answer. Yes. Nintendo and PlayStation announcements has just been so above, and I know they came after. They showed a lot more than whatever that little Xbox showcase was when they was showing Fable, the racing game, and then that one little kill game. And I was like, what the hell? Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. But listen, I'm sending positive energy. I'm not being negative. I'm sending positive energy that Xbox is going to show me something that's going to make me want to cut on my Xbox. I really hope. I really hope. But let me know in the comments down below. How do you feel? What do you think? What do you think they're going to announce? I mean, do you got some games you think? Like I said, if they don't hit on this showcase, it could be a long year. 2026 could be a long year for the Xbox fans. But let me know what you think and how you feel in the comments down below. PS5 prices just went up. And yeah, fans are not happy because this isn't a small change. This is Sony making the console more expensive years into the generation. This is after already raising the price not too long ago. And that's where the frustration is coming from. Most people expect prices to go down over time, not the opposite. So now the question is, why is Sony raising prices right now? And what does this mean for PlayStation moving forward? So here's what's happening. And this is why the situation is blowing up. Sony is adjusting all PS5 version of the console pricing in a way that is catching a lot of people off guard, especially with how long the console has already been out. Some fans understand the reasoning, but a lot of the others are saying this sets a bad precedence for the entire industry. Because if this works out and they end up continuing to sell, what's stopping prices from going up again? We just had a price hike. So let's break down what's changed and why Sony made this move, and whether this actually is a smart decision or a big mistake. Now, I'm gonna let you know something. I went to GameStop because I got online last night. Me and my cousin, we went to Target.com. Walmart. We went to Target, Walmart, and something else in GameStop. Walmart prices are already reflective. GameStop already reflected of the $900. Target online was still showing it at the $750 price. Now, this could be that their systems are not updating, but I went to GameStop today because, I had a thought, and I really probably should have did this before, but I was just anyway. I have two PS5s, so I was like, oh, if I can trade my two old ones, I have the disc versions, two disc launch versions of the PS5, and I was like, yo, if I can trade it in my two systems and probably pay like $100 difference, I would do it. And when I went in there, for one, they were all sold out, and they don't know when they're gonna come back in stock. This is GameStop now, and she said the manager that I talked to was like, yeah, we have some type of written agreement that we cannot delay price increases. Once PlayStation informs us, we have to adhere by this. Now, if anybody work at GameStops or any retailer, please let me know if that's accurate. Cause I was kind of like, but you run sales on consoles when you feel like you have overstock. I'm sure you don't wait for no fucking no, I guess for no permission when you want to run sales on console because you have too many in stock. So I kind of didn't really buy that, but I don't know. Like I said, somebody in the comments let me know if that's really accurate. She was like, GameStop and PlayStation, they have this written thing that once PlayStation says to raise the price, they automatically have to. They can't price match anybody, all this other stuff. And I was just like, so I was just asking, like, some basic questions. I was like, what could I get for my PS5 disc version launch? She was like, have some little thing, the tip top with a pro membership, I could get 371. I was like, man, that's still like that, bruh, that still like would be like a $200 difference once you do $8.99 times 8.25%. That's the sales tax in Texas. Like, that's $1,000. Like, it's over. And I was just like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. And then they don't even got none in stock, so I couldn't even do it if I wanted to. But I don't know. I don't know if I really feel that what she was saying was genuine or not. I feel like she was just being a salesman, which, I'm not saying she shouldn't do a job, be a salesman. But listen, this is just like a blow after blow after blow. And she was saying that what prompted, which I'm like, do you work at Sony? Like, she was saying that it's the tariffs, and she was like, yeah, the RAMs are starting to come down, but the tariffs is really, but I'm like, the tariffs been in place for how long? Like, bruh, like the first price increase blamed the tariffs, and now you blame the tariffs again in the United States. She was like, yeah, that's why Nintendo is suing the United States because of the tariff. I was like, I don't believe on it. And once someone says something that is very convenient for someone, I start to not believe them. But I don't know. Listen, let me know what you think. I just think the tariffs has been in place for how long, and it's not like if something changes in the tariffs and they go away or they come down, they're not going to lower the price. I don't see them ever doing that, because once especially if they continue to be sold out, they're not going to lower the price when the tariffs get rectified. Which, the tariffs been in place for over a year, 2 years now. I feel like they've been part of life, so you've already adjusted for that. The RAM shit, okay, but like I said, there's rumors that the RAM prices are starting to come down. So, bruh, 750 was already expensive. Now you go to 899 for the pro version that doesn't even come with a disk drive, and they even raised the price off the basic digital and disc version of the PS5. Like, and then they increased the fucking PS Portal. Like, so nah, bruh. I was down to trade in my two PS5s for one and pay like $100. She was like, yo, you missed it. You should have came last week. That's when we had them in stock at the lower price, and you probably could have came out on top. And I'm like, I just won't do it. I won't do it. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. Like, do what your pockets allow you to do. But for $1,000 console, nah, I can't justify it. And especially, like I said, the trend of consoles has always, you have the launch, a couple of years go by, they do like a slim version that's more affordable. It might have like, better heating and cooling and maybe more storage, and they have they bring it down to more affordable. Like Sony has sold over 90 million consoles. I don't know. What are we doing? But listen, that $900 price, GameStop is already enforcing it. Walmart is already enforcing it. So, and then they're sold out. So scalpers is really getting out of hand. Listen, I guess I'm gonna just have to have the mindset that I have my launch PS5, and if something happens with it, I have a backup. And both my cousin and I have come on this platform and said that we are not buying a PS5 6, Jesus, the PS6 when it comes out. Like I've stated, I want to jump into the PC, especially, bro, $1,000. That you really, I know I guess the community of us gamers, we're getting so accustomed, like, a Steam Deck 750, some of these handheld PC things are $1,000. The Switch 2 is a crazy price. Even the Xbox went up. Like, so I think they're really, really conditioning us for the next generation, because the next generation is going to be over $1,000. And in the old video, I said, "Oh, the PS6 won't be under 8." Bro, I don't think it's going to be under 9 now. So it's getting real grimy outside. I hope everybody has a pay increase coming, or cost of living adjustment coming in their future at that job, because everything's going up. Gas is $4 if you have to put premium in. Like, gas is, like, everything in life is just getting so hard to afford, and everything's going up, especially if you live in the States, but your pay at your job. So, this is just another disappointment, and it's just a haymaker. And definitely probably having non-buyer's remorse, because if I really wanted a Pro, I could have had it and probably would have had some extra money, because I would have been trading in 2 PS5s for a PS5 Pro. But listen, it is what it is, man. My PS5 is still going strong, and until the wheels fall off, and then when that wheel fall off, I have a backup. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Would you still buy a PS5 Pro or a regular PS5 at this higher price? And how do you feel? This is the second increase. What if they come back again to the table? See, and that's my fear. What if they come back again and still with the same excuse, like tariffs? But I don't know. Listen, yeah, let me know what you think and how you feel in the comments down below. All right. Raiders just dropped Flashpoint update, and something's not right, y'all, because this update was supposed to push the game forward, bring players back, build momentum, but instead we're seeing mixed reactions, frustration, and players starting to question the direction of this game. And when that happens this early, that's a problem. So now the question is, did Raiders just miss the moment, or is this the start of a bigger issue with the game? All right, so here's what actually changed with the Flashpoint update and why the reaction is so split. Some players are saying there are improvements, but others are pointing to decisions that don't feel right, whether it's gameplay changes, pacing, or overall direction and balancing of some of the new enemies, new weapons, old weapons. Balancing is always a struggle in games like this. It just is what it is. And when your community starts feeling divided, which has kind of already been feeling like that for a couple months now, that's when momentum starts slipping. So let's break down what Flashpoint actually did and whether this is something they can fix or something bigger to worry about. Like I said, let's point out some of the major complaints, and have been the complaints even before this update. Gameplay changes don't feel meaningful. Pacing issues / balancing issues. No, like I said, that's always been a thing with Raiders. P versus E balance frustrations. People are crashing out about rats and how they're ruining their experience of their gameplay. Progression not awarding. There's no in-game content. Now, in-game content is really a funny issue, because people that max out, they do the expeditions, they do all the extra stuff, they feel like there's nothing left to do in the game, and then they start P versus Ping exclusively because there's nothing else to bring their give them that sense of accomplishment. So all they do and focus on at that point is fucking up other people's experience. And don't get me wrong, that is part of P versus E. Everything's up for grabs. Anything you want to do, you have that choice. Whether you want to just fight the environment or you want to fight other players. That is the point. But it's kind of funny because in-game content has been an issue for a long time. For a while now. And because of the lack of in-game content to keep people interested in, they then turned to exclusive P versus P. Not saying that there's only people that play the game and they don't only do P versus P. That is a real thing. But when I look at comments and stuff, people are, and I'm in a lot of discords for Arc Raiders. I'm in a Facebook group for Arc Raiders and all that. I see repeatedly where people say, yo, I have nothing else left to do in the game but fight other players. And that's the only thing that's keeping my interest right now is fucking up other players' experience. So when you have that mindset in a lot of your fans, it's an issue. I mean, rats are rats. Everybody know the rats in the games and how they play and how dirty they do. They sit at your extraction points. They wait for you to go into high value areas and come out and they ambush you and stuff like, so it is what it is. And groups and all that like I said I'm a part of, there's been some comments popping up saying, hey, is friendly matchmaking, have they disabled that? Because it's been a lot of people say, hey, I don't shoot. Even when I'm shot at, I don't shoot at Raiders. So I have not been able to get in a friendly lobby in a long time. So that's also an element that people are questioning too. So, it's just a lot. And, this Flashpoint update, came with a map conditions, some rare ammo, other stuff, and it brought a new archetype, the vaporizer. I have seen a video of that shit in action. When I say I don't know how you Raiders are getting up with it, boy, but listen, if you like new to the game and you get hit with a vaporizer, and it's the fact that if there's multiple of them, I've seen them clear out multiple squads of 3. Like I said, hey, it could come down to a skill thing after a while. Like, when new archetype or introduced in a game, that really does rally a lot of people to coordinate and play together until they figure out, how to get over it, what things to use, blah, 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 blah. So, that's something, but it's really been a lot of mixed reviews, and I just want to go through some reviews that I saw on Steam. All right, so latest patch made this game really unenjoyable. They only catering to one group of players that complains the most. RIP Arc Raiders. Terrible update. Whoever decided this is okay needs to get fired. I'm not gonna let anybody get fired, okay? Was good, been absolute since the update. Controls are now terrible. Some stuff simply doesn't work at all, like smoke grenades. AI will see you and shoot you right through it. They are making sure that no one wants to play that pile of anymore, I guess. This is a well-rounded game that has a lot for everyone. If you are into P versus P, you can choose that path and get into those servers. If you are peaceful and can stay in peaceful servers, the only warning I would give you is that any gear that you die with on a mission will be permanently lost. So yeah, that's just a positive one I wanted to point out. This game is held back by its forced P versus P and extraction shooter mechanics. You are extremely limited on inventory space and weight. Everything in the game is also locked behind grinding levels to incentivize you attack other players. You only hold small stacks of ammunition, and taking down some of the common enemies can take 200 to 400 rounds of light or medium ammo. So you end up using half your inventory just carrying little piles of ammo. The combat balance is also based on around P versus P, so you end up spending 90% of your time in combat, reloading and hiding and healing. The end game seems to also revolve around rocket launchers that one shot everything but the hardest enemy in the game. Okay, so he kind of went in there. Let's just keep going. It's mostly P versus P. Even if you don't want to be P versus P, AI enemies are so overpowered. Each time you die, you lose all your gear in progress. Wish I didn't give it a chance. It's not refundable anymore. If you find tilting every 20 minutes or so, it will suit you. And then our last set of comments. It's really annoying to fight difficult enemies just to end up getting killed by other players. I wish there were P versus E only servers. Also, losing everything every time you die gets old very quick. This is the last comment. I feel like they are always making the arc stronger while nerfing effective weapons. I really like the game, but I wish they would change up a few things. All right, so those negative comments was right when they did the update, as you can see about a lot of the dates that these comments were posted. In the community, I just feel like the negative reviews like this, the negative concentration of the play styles, the end game and stuff like that. And I believe I just saw where Arc Raiders said, yeah, they doubling down. When they do updates, they're not gonna be like massive. They're gonna do multiple mini little updates. I believe I read that somewhere. So I just feel like the frustration is getting louder. It's getting louder. It's getting louder. It's getting more and more prominent. People are saying they're quitting the game because of P versus P. But I also want to point out that these new Arcs Raiders, the Vaporizer and shit like that, like, could you imagine playing a whole game and you're getting swarmed by multiple of them? That's my only fear with P versus Z environments is that what if they make the fucking arc unbearable? That's my only fear with having a P versus Z only lobby, is that they're gonna make the arc so unfucking balanced. And we already are complaining about how they're nerfing guns, our equipment and tools to fight arc and other players less effective, while making new arc and bringing new arc about that are so fucking OP. I don't know. I don't know how Arc Raiders is going to continue. I mean, it's been out for over 6 months. We still got another 6 months. And don't get me wrong, the numbers still, concurrent players are still high. They average over 100K of concurrent players per day. But, we've seen some little dippage here and there, as sometimes if you look at a certain point of the day, the count could be a little lower. But Arc Raiders, just like how I felt with Space Marine 2, you really have to hone in on the balance. And the issue with having two different or three different groups, P versus P and then P versus E, and then you have the combination of those two. It's really hard to please everyone in this scenario, but I do hope they work on balancing, the guns and stuff like that. I don't really know how good the new guns are. I haven't played it since this update, so I don't know. I feel like, and Arc Raiders, don't get me wrong, it's very unforgiving in a lot of ways. You get your shit pushed in, but that is part of the charm of Arc Raiders. While getting your shit pushed in, you're supposed to learn from your mistakes. You're supposed to get better. You're supposed to not make the same mistakes over and over and over. And yeah, sometimes mofo might catch you slipping. Hopefully you get a little crew that you can watch your back and things like that. And once it's crew on crew, you gotta just take it for what it is. Y'all get out of it, you get out of it. But you just gotta come back stronger. But I can understand the frustration after so many times, especially if you're a solo player. I don't know how people are making it to solo play. I know solo players for a minute was getting in friendly lobbies more often. So I don't, especially, the comments saying friendly lobbies are not happening as often. I don't know. But Arc Raiders, I just at the very least, they need to look at some balancing of some sorts at the very least. But you let me know what you think and how you feel. Or do you feel like they don't need to change shit? The game is great how it is. Like, you don't need no in-game content. You're okay P versus P. You don't care about people wanting P versus E only environments. They can go suck one off. And hey, let me know how you feel and what you think in the comments down below. All right, Sony is not happy with Marathon's numbers, and that's a problem, people, because this isn't just any game. This is one of PlayStation's big bets in live service space, and early performance, it's not hitting the way they needed it to hit. Now you've got questions starting to pop up about strategy, expectation, and whether the game can actually recover. Now the real question is this just a slow start or the beginning of a bigger issue for Sony and Marathon? All right, so let's break down what's actually going on with Marathon, why Sony might be concerned. The numbers we're seeing don't match the level of hype or investment behind this game. And live service games, that early momentum is everything. It can make or break the game. If players don't stick around, it becomes harder and harder to turn things around. So now Sony is in a tight spot. Do they double down and fix it, and give more content, or does this raise bigger questions about their live service strategies? All right, so let's do a little backstory of how we got to this point between Sony and Bungie and Marathon. Sony acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion in 2022. That was for the entire company, not just Marathon, or what was the game at that point, Destiny, but it showed how big Sony's expectations were for any future Bungie titles. And I think I said in the past video, Destiny 2, and I didn't even know this because I stopped playing Destiny 2 at the very beginning. I didn't even, once I left it, I left it. It was very successful. The numbers that it was getting for a number of years were staggering, well above even what we consider to be a well game that is Arc Raiders numbers that repeatedly get 100K of concurrent players. Destiny 2 was getting over 200, over 250. Sometimes it was tapping into 300,000. So once you have that type of success, you don't ever think that you're going to dip below that, right? Like, no one in business ever goes into these meetings and saying, hey, yeah, the next game that we make following Destiny 2, yeah, it's not even going to get half of those numbers. No one says that in business and in gaming. With that context, with $3.6 billion spent in 2022, we're in 2026, 4 years ago. And, at the tail end of Destiny 2 updates, the concurrent players did dip. I think the last one they did, it doesn't even average over 100K, and that's why it's seen the more recent updates for Destiny 2 are viewed as disappointments. And it's reportedly estimated that it cost Sony to develop Marathon, a AAA live service shooter. The spin count is at 100 to 200 million plus. All that is context for what I'm about to say with these numbers now. Mind you, Arc Raiders has been on a tear. It's been on a consistent run for 6 months, over 100. Sometimes they average 500,000 concurrent players in a whole month, and that is just Steam. That is not counting. Arc Raiders is on a lot of things, on a lot of platforms. Marathon is only on Steam and PlayStation consoles. So, just keep all this is content. All right, so week 1, peak numbers was 88,000. 88,000 launch week. This is launch week. Week 2 after launch, the peak count was 50 to 62,000 players. So it came down. It dipped. It dropped out of Steam's top 50 quickly. Your post-launch drop-off begins. Week 3, the peak range, 47 to 52. Every week since launch is gone down. Week 3 after launch is stabilizing phase, but at the same time, there's no big major rebound. Like, it's not going up. It's steadily going down. Week 4, this is like where we at of recently, it is around 47 to 50,000. Current concurrent players at the time that I pulled this report was 16 to 30K. This is considered probably the settlement number, or where this game is probably gonna live at. And like I said, with Destiny 2 numbers, having concurrent players around 30 to 40K is not gonna get the job done. Now, a lot of people will probably say, hey, that's not a failure. And okay, I'll let you get that off. It's not a failure, okay, but it's not a hit either. So Marathon is living in this dangerous gray area. And if anything, when you look at the history of gaming, the worst position to be is in a gray area. Now, I will say this: it's not a Concord 3. It's not a high guard. That was horrific. At least, I mean, they have, 15 to 30,000 concurrent players at least. People, if you watch the Angry Joe review, you watch a lot of reviews of Marathon, there are some areas where they could turn it around very quickly, give a reason to, want to have the cosmetics and stuff like that. Some of the areas feel very empty and voided out. There is balancing things that people are complaining about with this game as well. But listen, my point of this video that I want to stress, Marathon being a gray area is very, very, very troubling. Sony just closed another big time studio, Blue Point, not too long ago. So if you know the precedents about Marathon launch and why it had to go back in the oven and rebake, hey, Sony put a lot of pressure on Bungie, saying, hey, if this doesn't work out, because they was looking at the disappointing numbers from Destiny 2 latest updates, they was saying, hey, if this is not a hit, and I want to emphasize hit, we are going to involve you. No longer are you going to be able to make your own decisions. No, we're going to take over. We're going to dictate what you do, what your developers do, and they probably won't be able to fully control their next entry, if any. Honestly, like PlayStation could absorb the studio and spread them across, the company of the studios they have. So that's why this gray area that Bungie and Marathon is in is very, very dangerous. Now I ask you, do you think they can make a quick turnaround? Get the service land peaked at like 140,000. Like, could they get back to that number if they do it quickly? But I just don't know. This game was already in the oven baking for an extra year after they did the little beta. So anything that the company wanted to do to really improve the game and make it sell should have been done then, not when it's already out. We live in a time where shit is just so expensive. Money is getting tight. This is not the time to release a game and then say I'll fix it later. No. So I'm really concerned for Marathon and Bungie. I wish them nothing but the best. I hope they can turn around. I hope, because Bungie, is a prominent studio. They did make some good games back in the day. A lot of the upper management had left, but we did still associate Bungie with this high prestige outlook. But as of right now, I think they're teetering on the line of collapsing, honestly. And that's very unfortunate. But, listen, I'm not saying people don't like Marathon. There are a lot of people in our past Marathon videos that have said, hey, I like it. I watch a lot of people still play it online. People still stream it. Yeah, and that's all true. But at the end of the day, Highguard was closed after how many days? Like, these studios, they are getting cutthroat. They are not wasting time. You either put up or shut up, and you go away. Like, that's just how it is, and that's the reality of gaming right now. So I am concerned. Let me know down in the comments, Marathon, if you think Marathon didn't collapse, but it definitely didn't hold its launch momentum, and it is very much up in the air. How do you feel about Bungie's survivability after these 4 weeks of numbers from Marathon? Let me know how you feel and what you think in the comments down below. All right. Oh my God, this guy. Listen, let me just make a quick thing. In the year of 2026, where I've seen so many layoffs, even in gaming, but outside of gaming, so many layoffs, so many people are without a job and has high credentials and degrees and certificates, still can't be able to get a job. The fact that Tom Howard, for whatever reason, is still employed still baffles me. That is the conundrum. That is I don't even know what the phrase is, but I don't understand how this man is still employed. But anyway, Tom Howard just said, basically, pretend Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't exist. And yeah, fans are not taking that well, because this is one of the most anticipated games ever. And instead of hype, we're getting comments like that. Now, people are starting to wonder, how far away is this game really? And why even talk about it? And when you combine that with how long it's already been since it was first announced, this is starting to feel like a bigger issue than just one comment. All right, so let's break this down. I'm going to be calm. What Tom Howard actually said and why fans are reacting so strongly. The message seems clear. Don't expect Elder Scrolls 6 anytime soon. And I'm going to tell you right now, baby, if you thought it was coming soon, you have not been reading the writing on the wall. Okay, but the way it was said, that's what's causing the backlash. Because for a game this big, fans doesn't just want silence. They want reassurance that progress is actually being made. So now the conversation is shifting. Is this just honest communication from Todd in Bethesda, or a sign that Elder Scrolls 6 is still way further out than anybody ever expected? All right, so let me paint the whole picture, not have a closed mind and opinion about this. Everybody knows I don't really care for Tom Howard because he's a liar, allegedly. I mean, whatever I need to put on that, for the people. But I feel he does not tell the truth, and he is not genuine with a lot of things that he say. He's let the company kind of go in a downward spiral. It had this prestige look for a long time. They kind of been riding on nostalgia and have not delivered the type of games to the level that people expect of them because of their past interests. Okay, Tom Howard Howard made the comment in a recent interview with IGN. He was being asked about the Elder Scrolls 6, reflecting on the fact that it was announced way back in 2018, people. His exact tone was joking slash self-aware, but not too serious, when he said, just pretend we didn't announce it. It doesn't exist. Oof, I don't know all the things you could have said. And like, all right, does Todd Howard not have like what's them people called that tell you how to talk and what to say and how to say it, to not have stuff be spunked around? And it just seems like the publicists, is that I don't know. Todd Howard and Xbox need to send somebody like that to him, because every time he opened his mouth, he somehow pissed off the entire fandom of Bethesda and all the past games, and he always seems to piss people the fuck off. This wasn't him dismissing the game, quote unquote. It was him saying the game was announced way too early, and he prefers announcing games closer to release. Well, yeah, you can say that 6 years later, yeah, in hindsight, but he was like, we had to announce something. No, you didn't. You didn't have to announce shit. You chose to, for probably stock reasons, investor calls, Xbox acquisition time frame, all that. Like, so what Todd Howard is not going to do in this interview is get in my face and lie and bullshit me. This man has turned into a head developer that could lead developers in making a great game, and he has turned into a terrible salesman. He has turned into a terrible representation of the company. He has lied multiple times to fans on the record in front of a camera. And that's one thing about the internet, baby. Internet keeps receipts. So every time this man opens his mouth, the internet is just blasting him with all the receipts and things that he says. It just works. Anyway, and then, there's been some interviews from some past developers. Some would say they were disgruntled, but I think they told the fucking truth. This man is a liar. He's a terrible leader of people, so I don't understand how this man still got a job. But listen, he claims he regrets announcing Elder Scrolls 6 in 2018. It was not my preference, but if you're the face of the company and you control the company and you have such say, what do you mean it's not your preference? If it wasn't your preference, you wouldn't have said nothing then, especially if you knew y'all wasn't even in full development. So why are you lying? Why are you consistently lying? If you really didn't want that to happen, it wouldn't have happened. But no. That's why I said he's a terrible salesman. He can't even. All right, listen. Anyway, he claims Bethesda is being more careful now and being more cautious about revealing games too early. He said the development is still going and is in full production, but is clearly slow, not ready to be shown off yet after 6 years. Ain't nothing you can show us after 6 years? He claims that Bethesda is moving towards shorter hype cycles, less early announcement, and more announced soon releases strategy. Now, let me ask you this. Would you rather no announcement at all or this kind of update? I'm gonna just tell you, don't announce it at all. You 6 years out? I remember getting somebody commented on a past video complaining to me where I was like, yeah, having a game 2 years out so they can build up hype, that makes sense for a business. And somebody said, no, it needs to be a year out or don't say nothing at all. And I was like, well, damn, that really don't give the marketing team and everybody else, like, that's not enough. But listen, 6 years is borderline criminal. This man should be in jail for this. There was them saying, I read somewhere that it was like, yeah, the game, you probably won't get an update or something visual until 2028 or 29. I'm gonna tell you right now, baby, it's 2030. Don't let them know. They trying to stay in the twos to make it sound good. Let's just say 2030. I gotta ask, does anybody even care about this game at this point? 6 years? You could have been in your 20s when Todd announced this, and you realistically could be in your 40s when this game eventually come out. And track record that Bethesda been having with some of they, titles releases, like, I know there's a lot of people that defend Starfield, but there's a lot of people that say this is not a Bethesda standard game that we expect of you. Who knows what type of game we're going to get? They said a little buzzword saying, oh, we're going back to our roots for Elder Scrolls 6, but at this point, what is their roots? Like, what is the standard? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But this is what happens when you announce a game before it actually is ready to be talked about. And when I say to be talked about, I'm talking about you should be in full production at minimum before you start mentioning titles that you want to hype up. It should be in full production, not pre-production, not something on the cutting board, not ideas being tossed around upper management and stuff and still needs to be greenlit before they can really put money and time behind it. No, at minimum, the game needs to be in full production. You need to be at the tail end of full production before. That's what I'm saying. Like 2 years before you finish, okay, I'm okay. Hey, put a title up on the screen. Hey, but in 2 years, a year and a half, we can have a trailer for you. Maybe even a cinematic trailer. Your little 2 year completion date. Something more than what we got. It's really a tragedy that this game was announced 6 years ago. 7 years, 6 or 7 years ago. I think they just had the anniversary not too long ago. And this game is still nowhere near even a trailer. They just put the name up with some mountain background and some green, some trees. Like we ain't even got a trailer. Like we don't even know what this shit looks like. So this is borderline criminal. I don't know how Todd Howard still has a job. I think Xbox really needs to take control of Bethesda. Like I don't know, this whole offhands off. I feel like there's some type of thing written in when they bought Bethesda that protected Todd's job for a certain amount of years. That's probably why he's starting to talk a little bit like he got some common sense of late. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna go back to our roots. And, we're gonna shift our way of announcing and building hype. Like, I think his job protection is ending in the near future. And if I'm Xbox, I can't wait for it to end, baby. But let me know what you think and how you feel about Todd. Everything announced. He did confirm some things about Elder Scrolls 6, but let me know how you feel and what you think in the comments down below. April is about to take over gaming, people, because this month is stacked. We're not talking about one big release. We're talking about multiple games dropping back to back, all competing for your time. Here's the problem. There might actually be too many games hitting all at once. Some of these are going to blow up and some are going to get completely overlooked, even if they're good, unfortunately. All right, so let's break down what's actually coming in April and why this month is kind of wild. You've got big titles, potential sleeper hits, and games that could surprise people, all landing in a tight window. And when that happens, not every game wins, unfortunately. Some get lost just because of timing. So this isn't just about what's releasing, it's about which games are actually worth your time and which ones you might miss if you're not paying attention. So first up is Sorrows, releasing April 30th, 2026. This is a PS5 exclusive. We got Starfield coming out on April 7th, finally hitting PlayStation. A huge deal because it was previously a Xbox/PC only exclusive. Xbox exclusives go PlayStation. What changed? It is reported that this is going to get the biggest update since its launch. Next coming out is Hades 2 on April 14th, one of the most praised games of last year, finally coming on consoles, launching with new content and upgrades. It was a Game of the Year contender, and it finally hits consoles. Next, we have Pragmata coming, and actually they moved their release date up a week. This is now coming out on April 17th. This is Capcom's first new IP in years. It was long delayed with high expectations, sci-fi action games on all platforms. Capcom's biggest risk in years. Next, we have Aphelion coming out April 28th, a sci-fi survival/action game from Life is Strange devs. Strong narrative plus cinematic focus. This could be an underrated sleeper hit right now, people. Next, we have Diablo, Lord of Hatred, coming out April 28th. This is a major expansion for Diablo, big for live service, ARPG crowd. Can Diablo stay relevant is the question. Next, we have Replace coming out on April 14th, highly anticipated indie, pixel art, cyberpunk aesthetics. Last Flag coming out on April 14th. This is a 5 versus 5 hero shooter with a twist on Capture the Flag, another live service shooter entering a crowded market, so we'll have to see how this performs. Next, we have Pokemon Champions, baby. This is coming out on April 8th. New Pokemon style competitive game, always drives clicks regardless. It has the Pokemon, it has the nostalgia pull. This is probably going to do numbers, but I had to put something on Nintendo on the list because I can hear people in the comments say there was nothing from Nintendo. There you go, people. And next, South of Midnight coming out on April 8th. I think this did win something something at the Game Awards last year, but I can't really remember offhand. But yeah, and we just got a few more indies. Darwin's Paradox coming on April 2nd. People of Note coming on April 7th. All right, now next up we got The Occultist coming out on April 8th. I didn't know this until I was making my notes for this. This is the same voice actor that played Geralt in The Witcher. So yo, shout out him. Listen, it's been a long time since, I don't know if he's done any work since The Witcher 3, but I thought that was a fun little nugget there for The Occultist. And last up, we got Dose of Devils One Last Meal coming out April 14th. That is all the whole list for April. It is very crowded. There is something coming out every week, no matter if it's a AAA title or a indie. So it's definitely a mix of AAA and indie heavy releases coming out for the month of April. And listen, it's something for everybody coming out this month. You know, whether you want a Saros, you want a Pragmata, you want Starfield, and a lot of the indies really do look good. You know, it's a lot of horror indies, and then, you know, if you're a Diablo fan, I just feel like this month is jam-packed games. And no matter if you want a live service or a single player experience with a highly narrative, well-developed story, you have something that you could get in this month. Yeah, and that's the long list of the games in April. Let me know if I miss anything. There are a lot more indie games. It was just the list would have been too long. This video would have been too long to list them all. But there is a lot of indie games and a lot of multiple big AAA games coming out this month. Let me know if any of this is on your must-have and must-get day one list, or you're gonna have to make life decision because you can't buy all the games that's coming out in April. You're gonna have to pick at the end of the day what's on the chopping block for you and what is a must get for the month of April. And two, I don't know, I might do another video for May, because I think May has a lot of things and then it goes quiet for over the summer. But I don't know, that's when Nintendo leaks said that they have a lot of games coming out in the summer. So anyway, let me know what you think. If I missed anything that should have been on the list, let me know how you feel and what you think in the comments down below. But yeah, that is a wrap. This is the conclusion of episode 27. Like I said, Infamous will be back next week and it will be on your normal full-fledged. We'll be officially back from vacation at that point. But it was a lot of things. It's been a lot of news things that I wanted to talk about, but you know, we was on vacation, so I was like, let me go ahead and start getting the dust off and get back in the normal routine. So I went ahead and recorded by myself. But it was a lot of topics this week. We went through, the Bethesda, a lot of April game releases, the Xbox showcase, and we started off with the Nintendo leak with the Ocarina of Time remake and the Star Fox game being developed and things like that. So it was a lot of juicy stuff this week. Let me know what you think and how you feel about all of the topics, and we'll be here same place, same time with a full cast of me and Infamous next week. Peace.
And that's it for this video of Are You Not Entertained podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll never miss our next hot take. Until next time, Are You Not Entertained?